right. Well, we just want to welcome our Linked family back for a new series. Dennis Darble, your host here. And it is my real privilege to have with us for this Friday and for the next 3 Fridays, Danny Edwards, former PGA Tour professional. We're going to get to know him a little bit. Danny, good to see you this morning.
Thank you, Dennis. Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I just want to jumpstart this by asking really two simple questions. Tell us a little bit about your early years growing up in Edmond, Oklahoma. In particular, two things: how you got started in the game of golf and developed such a great career, and then a little bit your family and your church life.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I grew up in a great family. I was so fortunate and lucky. We were at the First Baptist Church of Edmond, Oklahoma, with Dr. M.E. Ramey every time the doors were open, and that was really my second home. My buddies went there. We were always there for church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. And, I was involved early on in Bible studies and those kinds of things. And, I walked down the aisle of the First Baptist Church when I was 8 years old and accepted Christ. And Dr. M.E. Ramey baptized me up on the water loft up there on top. And it was a great experience. In fact, one of my great memories of those years after I got started golf was going with Chuck Bowman, who was the state director of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we would go out, he and I would go out to some small towns, and some of the men from the FCA in those areas would get a group together, and I would do a demonstration, hit balls, and give my testimony and talk to the young boys about their life and their future. And we did that, many weeks through the summers. And I had a wonderful time meeting young guys and coaches and all over the state. My love was, of course, athletics. I excelled at basketball. I was an all-state basketball player. My senior year, still hold my high school scoring record of 43 points.
Oh my!
It's only lasted for, I think, 53 years. But then I came across golf, and it was totally by accident. Nobody in my family had ever hit a golf ball. There was no golf in Edmond, Oklahoma, no professionals, no instructors. But my best buddy on the basketball team down the street was a golfer, and his father. And I saw him chipping around one day in the yard and asking what he was doing. And then I saw an old retired coach up on the high school football field, and he let me hit a few balls. So that was my beginning. I got a set of clubs for Christmas. I'd asked for them. That was my Christmas gift. And we played 9 holes down in Texas at a course called Weeks Park. And I shot 43 for 9 holes. Now, I'd been practicing for, 4 or 5 months there and all. And the pro said, "Well, how'd you do today?" And I said, "Well, I did pretty good." He said, "What'd you shoot?" And I said, 43. And he said, "Well, that's fantastic. How long have you been playing?" I said, "This is the first time I've ever been on a golf course." So he looked like he'd seen a ghost after that. But I worked really hard, improved dramatically, I should say. My buddy and I were the 1-2 players on the team. We won the team championship at the state high school, and I won the individual championship as an individual after playing golf for only 2.5 years at the Oklahoma State High School Golf Championship, which happened to be up in Stillwater at Lakeside Golf Course. And Leyburn Sr. was the coach there, of course, iconic coach. And he saw me as I came up on the tee. He said, "Danny, I want you to come to Oklahoma State and play for the Cowboys." He said, "I'll call you when I get back." So I went up with Mom, showed us all around. And he said, "Danny, we've got a great team." He said, "If you really work hard, you might be able to make the team by your junior year." And I was in shock, of course. But I came up and said, "Well, all I can do is give it my best." And so the first qualifying round we had, there were about 40 players went out. I had the low score and ended up playing every tournament for Oklahoma State for 4 years. So it was a great career there at OSU, and winning some of the big amateur tournaments around the country, the North and South, and the Sunny Hannah, and some of those great events, and playing in the U.S. Amateurs. Actually qualified for the United States Open at Pebble Beach in 1972.
How old were you there?
Well, I was 21 years old at that time, so I was a long way from 14. But my faith was always very important to me. High school, we had great FCAs there, But it changed, Dennis. When I got on the tour, it was no longer the cocoon that you lived in your room and with your buddies. You're thrown out with the world of professional sports. You're in a different city every week, different pressures every week, and that was a real change for me.
Yeah, I would maybe next week or the third Friday we get together. I want to explore that just a little bit, that part, for lots of reasons. So let me just recap. If I get the impression, or if I understood you correctly, you stumbled into the game of golf. Of course, God created you to be a professional golfer in His providence, but by our perspective, you accidentally just kind of ended up with a golf club in your hand through a friend. But at 14 years of age, by the time you were a senior in high school, you won your state championship. You were an individual medalist, and then you end up getting a scholarship to Oklahoma State. I looked at your credentials. They're impressive. You won a lot of amateur events and uh, just amazing. So we'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. I want to thank you for being with us on this Friday morning. I wish we had an hour, but we usually try to keep these things to 5 minutes or so, and then write the devotional around it. But I look forward to seeing you next Friday, and we'll talk about this further.
Sounds great, Dennis. Thank you.
You got it.